From the edge of the desert night, across the still frequencies of the unknown, this is Wolf Radio Live. Tonight we step into the world of high strangeness, the hidden layers of reality where monsters walk, ghosts whisper, and strange lights haunt the skies. Joining us tonight is a remarkable guest, author Ray Moseley, author of 19 books that span a variety of topics from horror to poetry. He's an avid cryptozoologist, a UFO enthusiast, and ghost hunter. So pour yourself a strong cup of coffee, settle in, and keep the lights low. Tonight, we'll explore mysteries that don't just entertain. They unsettle, they inspire, and maybe, just maybe, they reveal the true nature of the strange world we live in. Before we bring on tonight's guest, let's check in with the latest from the strange and unexplained, stories of the skies, the past, and edges of reality. This is Wolf Radio Live. Here's your news of high strangeness. At a recent congressional hearing, several longtime UAP witnesses openly criticized the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO. Their grievance? They argue that AARO leans too heavily on science-y explanations in a way that diminishes certain anomalous reports outright. One witness complained that the very organization meant to bring legitimacy to UAP research is now under fire for demystifying cases that some insiders would rather keep enigmatic. In fact, some of these observers argue the attempt to explain things too neatly is its own kind of censorship. This is a tension we've seen before, between disclosure and mystery, between reducing anomalies to noise versus letting strangeness remain. And tonight, we'll ask, is it possible to investigate the unexplained without unintentionally sanitizing it? Stepping into the theoretical realm, a new academic paper titled Computational Complexity of UAP Reverse Engineering dropped this week, and its conclusion is a mind twister. The authors argue that inferring the inner workings of a UAP, in other words, deducing its propulsions, materials, or control systems from observational data, is formally NP complete. In practical terms, that means that the attempt to reverse engineer an anomalous object from sparse sensor data might be computationally intractable, perhaps forever beyond our reach. Unless we drastically shift how we gather data or rethink the physical or the physics that are involved. The paper even suggests that with present methods, UAP technology might be much like handing a Neanderthal a modern smartphone. They can observe its behavior, but can't reverse its design. It's a sobering reminder, folks, that even the smartest minds with the best math might collide with a line of limits on what we can do and what can be known. That in itself is a kind of eerie frontier. Over in archaeological news, researchers have announced a stunning discovery along South Texas's coastline. 29 human bones dated around 800 years old, carved and incised in ways that strongly suggest they were used as musical instruments, possibly in ritual or spiritual ceremonies. These are not everyday burial relics. The markings, holes, and shaping points to use as flutes, whistles, or other sound-producing devices, tools of cultural expression, tools of the sacred. The find hints at complex ritual practices in Mesoamerican influenced communities on the Gulf Coast that we're only beginning to appreciate. Archaeologists working in the Nufad Desert of northern Saudi Arabia have uncovered life-sized rock engravings, camels, gazelles, and even the extinct auroch. Some towering over 6 feet tall. The carvings have been dated to roughly 12,000 years ago, far earlier than experts once believed people could have survived in that barren expanse. Excavations revealed stone tools and rock picks near the site, along with hints of long-vanished phrases or oases that sustained these ancient carvers. It challenges what we thought we knew about desert survival. These were not desperate wanderers. They were artists, symbol makers, and people with culture and vision. Some wonder if the monumental works are more than just art, perhaps ritual symbols or records of forgotten migrations and climates. On September the 29th, 2025, a SpaceX Falcon 9 launched from Vandenberg, carrying 28 Starlink satellites. Its fiery plume arched across the Arizona night sky, trailing light like a comet. Residents flooded social media and emergency lines, certain they were seeing a UFO. The launch ended with boosters successfully landing on the drone ship, poetically named Of Course I Still Love You. This is how UFO stories are born, folks. A collision of technology, atmosphere, and imagination. Witnesses didn't see a rocket. They saw something other. It's a reminder that the unknown sometimes arrives by way of the very technology that we build ourselves. In Fort Myers, Florida, storms of shifting waters revealed a relic from the past. An ancient dugout canoe, nearly 9 feet long. Carved from mahogany, an unusual wood for the region, the canoe bears iron tool marks hinting at colonial influence, possibly Spanish or Caribbean. Radiocarbon tests remain inconclusive, leaving the vessel's age a story of uncertainty. Waterways are thresholds, between lands, between cultures, and between the known and unknown. To uncover a canoe after centuries feels like a whisper from those who paddled it, crossing rivers that once held both trade and legend. New research analyzing chemical fossils suggests sponges may be Earth's earliest animals, predating all others by 500 million years. Instead of skeletons, scientists found trace molecules locked in stone, ghosts of living creatures that once filtered the seas 541 million years ago. This discovery stretches the boundary of life as we know it. It asks, what truly counts as animal? Were there entire epochs of life that we cannot picture? Worlds erased before dinosaurs or even trilobites walked the earth? Some hear echoes of forgotten ages spoken of in myth, floods, cycles, and lost creations. On Scotland's Isle of Skye, paleontologists have uncovered a Jurassic fossil that seems caught between worlds. Brugnothere elgolensis. The creature bore snake-like jaws and recurved teeth, but also the limbs and proportions of a lizard. At 160 million years old, it complicates the evolutionary tale of snakes. This is a snake with arms and legs. Finds like this ripple outward into folklore. Serpent myths, dragon legends, could they echo dim memories of creatures that didn't quite fit neat categories? It reminds us that the nature itself sometimes blurs its lines, leaving fossils that feed both science and story. On September 9th, 2025, Congress convened a hearing titled Restoring Public Trust Through UAP Transparency and Whistleblower Protection. Military veterans and government witnesses spoke openly of encounters with UFOs, what they now call UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Lawmakers, including Republican Anna Paulina Luna, demanded full disclosure, calling out reprisals against those who dare to report sightings. Then came the shock. Video of an MQ-9 Reaper drone firing a Hellfire missile at a UAP over Yemen in 2024. The missile appeared to hit its mark, but the object kept moving, untouched. This is the kind of moment that changes the debate. If our most advanced weaponry can't bring down these objects, what are we dealing with? Is it a threat, a visitor, or something else entirely? The push for disclosure has never felt more urgent or more contested. You're listening to Wolf Radio Live, TikTok's home for the unexplained. We've just traveled through the latest currents of news from the edges of science, the ancient past, and those ever mysterious skies above us. But don't go anywhere. When we return, we'll be joined by tonight's guest, author and investigator Ray Moseley, whose work stretches across the worlds of ufology, cryptid encounters, and the supernatural. Stories of high strangeness you won't want to miss. Coming up right after this short break. Stay tuned. Wolf Radio will be right back. And we are back. If you were just joining us, tonight we'll be in conversation with author Ray Moseley, whose work on cryptids and paranormal phenomena have carved a path through some of the strangest territory in the field. He's written no fewer than 19 books spanning the uncanny spectrum of ufology, cryptids, horror, and the paranormal. His titles read like dispatches from another dimension. Granny Was Never a Ghost. Bigfoot is the Lizard Man, and The Field Guide to Ghosts Encrypted. Let's dive right in. Welcome, Ray Moseley.
Well, hello.
Hello there. Hello. Yes, we can. We can. It's a little echoey, but I think it's probably your location. Where are you joining us from tonight?
I'm actually in a shed right now. It's a property I go to pretty regularly. The property's got a couple of ghosts on it. We're down in a valley, so I wanted to get in the shed. That way I didn't get any fog or mist on my phone, mess it all up.
Well, that certainly makes sense. So, Ray, you have written 19 books across UFOs, cryptids, the paranormal, and horror. What first pulled you into the world of high strangeness?
Well, the very first experience was definitely what I wrote about in Granny Was Not a Ghost. My house is haunted. So...
Well, tell us a little about that. Tell us a little about the story. I actually have the book right here. I was trying to make sure that our little background didn't mess that up, but that is Granny Was Never a Ghost.
That's correct. That all started, my daughter was probably 5. I crunched the timeline just a little bit in the book. It spanned a lot longer than I actually wrote about, just for, the book's sake, keeping it from spanning as long as it did. But we had a little ghost thing, started small, she was scared of the closet, and, little things would happen around the house, doors would close, doors, it went up to where doors locked themselves that didn't even have locks. It got rough there for a while. But after dealing with that, the adrenaline rush was more than enough to keep me hooked.
I see. So that's how you got your start, was a strange encounter from early on. That's very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in the field of paranormal research and investigations?
I'll kind of start from the beginning of when I decided to become a paranormal investigator and
wonderful
stuff. I was working at a jail with my friend Brian, and he was looking for another job. So he found one, and then just to stay in contact, we were talking on the phone one night, and the story came up. I was telling him about the ghost in my house, and one thing led to another. We were like, let's go hunt ghosts, and we just started buying equipment, and we started off with Sensabaugh Tunnel, which is a kind of a local haunt around here, and we got so much activity. I mean, we didn't know whether to be scared or excited. We were running around with just super cheap gear. We had no idea what was going on. We were just winging it with cheap stuff we found, and it just stayed that way. We decided to call ourselves Appalachian Strange Hunt, and I talked about writing books and stuff, and I hadn't pulled the trigger on writing any books yet. I was just talking about it, but the main trigger of that one, I got hurt at work, and I needed something to occupy my time when I was, just laying around healing up. So I started writing. And my first couple of books, I'm proud of them, but I don't sell many copies.
Well, I think that happens sometimes with authors, especially when you got 19 books in the in this same realm. I know that I picked up three of them over the weekend, and they were all delivered very quickly. And look, folks, these are not little bitty tiny books. The Field Guide to Ghosts and Cryptids is pretty good sized book for a little paperback. Now, I think the smallest one that I picked up was Bigfoot is the Lizard Man, and it's still over 100 pages of, some hypothetical situation where you're walking us through your thoughts on a certain situation, which we can get into later on in the interview. But I did want the viewers out there to know that the books they're pretty well written.
That was actually kind of how it went down. That's a true story.
Ooh, well, now I haven't gotten through the entire book yet. They just came in yesterday, and I've been kind of pouring through them all three, trying to make sure that I had a good grasp of you and your work. Can you tell me what it is you actually do in the realm of paranormal investigation? What does that entail? Do you do it alone? And what equipment might you use when you go on these different adventures?
It really depends on what I'm doing. I still use mostly cheap equipment. If I'm going to, say, a cemetery or a graveyard, I may just bring a couple of cell phones and an EMF detector, just for a little call and response to see if I can get them to intelligently respond to me. If I'm hunting cryptids, the EMF detector is not the way to go, but my night vision is. So I got a night vision camera and got a night vision binoculars now, and I'm not sold that Bigfoot and other cryptids can't see an infrared. And I think that's how they avoid most of the cameras. But what do? I just decide to go one day. I'll pick a place. I'll go. Often my wife or my daughter. Sometimes Brian still jumps in, but he's got another job, and he only comes out when he can. Like last week, I did several hunts. We did Hunt for the Mothman. Then we went to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum and hunted a little bit. Then we run off to hunt the Flatwoods Monster, and then we went to the Woodbooger Festival. We went and had us a blast.
So what is the Woodburger Festival? I know when I spoke to you last, you were at Woodburger, and you were at the Woodburger Grill, which I looked up, and apparently it is an iconic eatery in that area. So tell us a little bit about the festival, what all it entails, what kind of people go there, and what you do.
Well, the Woodbooger is an Appalachian name for Bigfoot. So it's a Bigfoot festival. There's other people who write books, do podcasts, things like that. They'll set up a booth. I didn't know I was going to end up there. My trip, I only planned to go hunt the Mothman. The rest were all impromptu. And so worth it. Made a lot of contacts with some pretty awesome people at the Woodbooger Festival. Went and did a good trail ride in my Jeep and stuff. The lady leading the ride, she was also the one that was putting together the Woodbooger Festival, and that was nice. But I just decide where to go, and I go. I'm not for hire or anything like that, and I've started writing books about the haunts and the hunts that I'm doing. That's just not where I started. I started with zombie poetry,
I see. Zombie poetry. Now that is a niche writing right there.
It was about 75 pages. It was a a epic poem, but it was about the zombie apocalypse. So like I said, I've written just the craziest stuff, and I get better, and I'm actually sell more copies of the ghost and cryptid stuff than I do any of the poetry or novellas about Rockwater, which is a fictional town I made up to just have lots of ghosts and cryptids.
Very cool. Very cool. So what are some locations that you have explored and that you've, investigated that we may know of?
Well, Point Pleasant, when I hunted the Mothman, that's probably the most famous place I've been. Then there's, like I said, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. That was very recent as well. That's a very famous place. Most of them are kind of local to me. It's like Sensabaugh Tunnel is supposed to be the world's most haunted tunnel. And I'll vouch for that story. I actually just finished writing a book on that. I haven't got it published yet, so. But a lot of cemeteries. That's where I end up at the most.
Ooh, I bet there's some spooky occurrences at some cemeteries late at night. Can you share with us a few of your experiences?
I've had some real good experiences at the Bethesda Cemetery in Moorestown. It's a church that was converted into a Civil War hospital, and they've got a mass grave out there, and you can get some decent activity there. Actually, on my TikTok, I think I have a little video I put together about that, and it was mostly my daughter talking. I'm behind the camera most of the time. Like I said, there's just a few of us whenever we do go out. I ain't got no big team. We're just figuring it out as we go. And,
certainly. Which is probably all you can expect in a field like this. I mean, this is paranormal science. This is the exploring the unexplained. I don't think that there truly are any experts, in the field. I think it's regular folks who are interested and intrigued and who are going through the steps and the motions to actively try and find the answers, seeking truth in each little field that you're doing, whether you're hunting UFOs or ghosts or cryptids. So now you've written several books about cryptids themselves. Which is your favorite cryptid? And can you explain for our viewers out there what a cryptid is?
Well, cryptids are basically creatures that may or may not exist, that we have some evidence of, we've not found yet. They leave cryptozoology and go into regular zoology when we know for a fact they're there. So, as far as my favorite goes, gotta say the Glimmer Man is my favorite.
Glimmer Man. Tell us about Glimmer Man and why he's your favorite.
Most of the audience has probably watched the movie Predator. If you remember the scenes where Predator is cloaked and running through the woods, that is spitting image of the Glimmer Man.
Kind of phasing in and out of reality.
It's either phasing in and out of reality or it's got cloaking abilities. I'm not 100% certain. It's honestly why I say Bigfoot is the lizard man. I actually believe it's the Glimmer Man that we're seeing, wearing the skins of the animals that he takes like a trophy.
I see.
Makes sense to me. We needed skin when we were running around like cavemen, and he needs skin too. So
certainly, that does make sense. That does make sense. So, do we think that the Glimmer Man is? Go ahead.
He's about the same size. He's about the same size as Bigfoot. same everything, only you can't really see him that well. Just kind of looks like gasoline smoke in the air, you know. That real shimmery look, and you know he may or may not be Bigfoot or the lizard man. Just it makes sense in my head that, you know, we see lots of Bigfoot sightings. Everybody goes, well, that's fake. It looks like a man in a suit. And if the Glimmer Man is wearing skin, of course it looks like a man in a suit, because it kind of is. And that's why I think Bigfoot smells like rotting animal all the time. You always
That
hear
would make
about
sense.
skunk apes. I mean, it is the skins of animals. I don't know if they hunt them and kill them or if they're scavenger animals. I don't know, but that's pretty sure that's what I had in my yard, and I was hunting that. And that's the whole story of Bigfoot as the lizard man. Because when you think about it, the lizard man, same size, shape, everything is Bigfoot, but he's got lizard skin. You know, you move further north, every time they find the fur, it's deer fur, but you know the Bigfoots are deer brown. You know, even further you'll get, you know, darker Bigfoots, probably wearing black bear fur. You know, then you got the shaggier ones. Yeti was always white, probably polar bear fur. You know,
Sure.
That was my angle in the book. Is it true or not? I don't know.
But that's your
I've
hypothesis
never-
anyway.
It sure was. I was actually talking to several people at the Woodbooger Festival about it, and they were quite interested in that story. But I don't know if that's an original thought or not. I've not run across anybody else that's thought about it that way, but it's
Well,
kind
regardless-
of what I feel.
Yeah, regardless whether it is or not, you are the man that published the book. Bigfoot is the Lizard Man. And it is available on Amazon. You can pick that up with author Ray Moseley on Amazon. There will be links in the final video description where you will be able to go and purchase that on Amazon and check out all of his writings, by the way. So yes, Bigfoot is the Lizard Man. I've got my copy here. The only thing that I wasn't as pleased as I could be, I would have been much happier had I been able to get an autographed copy directly from you. That would have been really cool. I guess that means we will just have to meet at a conference or a convention one day, and I'll have to get them signed. That's going to have to be how that works.
Absolutely. I'll probably have several copies on me when I come by one.
There you go.
I decided to, on my days off, I'm going to try to find conventions, things like that, and hit them up.
Sure.
Network a little bit. Got to get out in the woods more, though. Do more research.
Definitely. I see that the most extensive book that I purchased was the Field Guide to Ghosts and Cryptids. Can you tell me a little bit about what went into this and the thought process behind putting together a field guide, going through the steps? Can you walk us through some of that, Ray?
Yeah, the thing that actually started it, a buddy of mine's doing tattoo work and stuff now. And we were talking about drawing, and you know, I'm a little bit of an artist myself. I don't do tattoos or anything like that, and so I started drawing a couple of images, and I mean, it was kind of styled like the U.S. Army Field Manual, you know, and so I started, but I needed some help cleaning up the images a little bit because, like I said, I got hurt at work. One of my injuries was to my hand, and so my lines aren't as clean as they used to be. And I thought, I'm drawing like the field manual. Maybe I should write one. And then I thought about it for a couple days, what I should write, whether I was going to be ghosts or cryptids or combination of the two. And then I just started organizing my thoughts and putting them down on paper so I could get everything organized the way I wanted it. And before I knew it, I mean, I had a book made up, you know.
So which was your first book, the first one that you published? Which one was it? You have 19 publications and a plethora of books on the way. Which one was your first one?
The first one, give me a minute if I'll remember the name of that book. There was the zombie poetry one, but
Zombie poetry.
yeah, if you hadn't asked me, I told you the name of that book in a heartbeat.
That's quite all right.
Tip of the tongue thing. Yeah,
yeah, there's 19 of them out there published. It's easy for them to escape the mind for sure. So I've got to ask, let's see, your writings kind of touch on, or your body of work kind of touch on a lot of different things. Do you ever see a connecting thread, something that ties together UFOs, ghosts, and cryptids all together? Is there a connecting thread in your mind?
yeah. I would have to say the Glimmer Man is definitely where it all connects, because it kind of would look like a ghost if you're just looking at it, thinking about it. Most people would call it a predator, which could be alien, could be something natural, a cryptid. I mean, it touches all bases depending on how you look at that thing, and that would definitely be a common thread. You have got to learn about all of it if you're going to try to hunt that thing.
Well, that would make sense as that would make
sense. There was a video a guy had posted. You could see there was something invisible breaking his tree branches and jumping from tree to tree. It made its rounds around TikTok quite a bit a while back, and I mean, I wish we could find that video and pull it up, but that's a classic case of the Glimmer Man right there. He's got way too powerful to be a human, you know, too big not to be a Bigfoot.
Now, the area where you're at in the Appalachia, mountains, that is a hotbed for UFO as well as Bigfoot sightings. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely. I have seen a few UFOs myself.
Well, tell us some of those experiences. Let us know what you've seen out there.
I was, the first time I seen what I believe to be a UFO, I was in Morristown. I was on my way to work. I was working out there at the time. I was near the airport, so a lot of people say, well, it had to be an airplane. I've got pretty good vision. I would know the difference in an airplane and a cigar. And it was like just a big cigar in the sky. And it was moving in ways airplanes have no ability to do. It was moving backwards, forwards, in like a triangle pattern, basically. And it was going so fast, I could barely keep up with my eyes. And then it was just gone. And I mean, I told everybody at work, went home and told everybody. Everybody's like, yeah, you're just seeing stuff. It had to be a plane. You were by the airport. That was not a plane. The next time I was actually heading to Morristown. I live about an hour away from there, The wife, she wanted to go to one of the restaurants out there, and we were driving that direction, and we seen one. She was with me that time, and it appeared to go just at the top of the mountain, and then hover for a second, and then it dropped down below the tree line, and I went, chasing after that thing. I was going all down the back roads and everything, trying to see if I could find it. We never did, but now she believed me. And then I was driving home from Kingsport. There's a place called Allendale Mansion out there. It's a real nice place. They hold events and things. And I don't know what event was going on down there, but a guy was walking out of the front of that area, and he was dressed as Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, all right.
I was like, oh look, there's an alien, and because the story of the Dragon Ball Z, it's a lot like Superman, another planet, you know.
Sure.
And just as I said that, I seen a cigar pop up right in front of my view, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna get this on film this time. It's gonna happen. So I turned my camera on my phone, and I'm holding the camera to the windshield, trying to drive and not wreck, you know, and hold this up and videotape this thing. And I get home and I go to show my wife and my neighbor and everybody. I'm like, look at this. I know I got this on film now. And we was watching the video. It's not on video. Just didn't show up on the camera at all. I was so devastated. But that thing, it was moving very slow. I got a real good look at it. And I wasn't the only one bobbing and weaving on the road. There were other people you could see was trying to drive and look at this thing.
Sure.
And then I'll look for the pictures, but I was at a doctor's office one day, dealing with one injury or another. I work in a dangerous, violent job, so I was sitting there and I was looking out the skylight, and I seen one above the building. So I broke out the phone and was trying to record it, and it actually recorded, so you can see it on the film this time. You know, I'll see if I can't get that to you. And it's just hovering in place. It never moves. I ended up getting called to the back. So I didn't get to finish seeing if it ever went. By the time I made it back out from the doctor, it was gone. But I've seen a few, mostly around Kingsport. And they've got, Eastman Kodak, and there's a big Army munitions plant near there and stuff. It's, the whole area I'm in's got some strangeness about it.
Sure. Now, are these generally the cigar-shaped UAPs that you're seeing?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm not seeing any of the saucers or the balls. I'm just catching the cigars here.
And these are mostly near an airfield, is that correct?
No. There is an airfield here, but no plane that you could take off from this little bitty airstrip would be able to mimic anything like that in the sky. We've just got a little bitty one here.
Through my various interviews, that's something that I've kind of heard quite a few times, is that near these different airfields or airstrips, there's more sightings. And I'm wondering if the people that are in, aeronautical, industries, if they're more prone to seeing these anomalies out in the sky, and they're just not reporting it, or if it just happens to be that there's a higher propensity of having these types of things happening where there's a little bit of airfield, work going on.
I'm not sure it had anything to do with any of the airfields. If I were to guess, like, we've got a nuclear facility nearby that got started. They built the big rings and everything, and then they just stopped. So it's just an abandoned, facility, half built. It's been that way since, I believe, the 50s. And we've got the big ammunition plant, which, I'm not able to visit there, but you can look down on Google Maps and see hundreds of bunkers behind that place. if you're familiar with the TNT bunkers in Point Pleasant,
Yes,
right?
yes, I am.
It would
Yes,
look,
I am.
they would look like that. Only, I mean, you can't get down to them. I mean, they were heavily guarded. I mean, I know a few people that have worked there. They won't tell you nothing. They're just like,
High
I'm not
secrecy.
talking. Absolutely.
Disclosure.
So there's just a lot of secrecy around that, and like Eastman, which is a large chemical company, they've had a big leak a few times. It's been
Yeah, I'm sure there's.
I'm just
I'm
like
sure.
an hour and a half from Oak Ridge.
I
Uh,
see.
it's kind of strange. I was actually on TikTok the other day, and somebody was talking about how Oak Ridge seems to be the real Stranger Things. Like if that was real, it would have been Oak Ridge.
That's
And
where it would have
I
been.
said, I'm like, well, I think it's more Hawkins, which is the county I live in, and that's nearby Oak Ridge. I see so many of the strange things here that it's just undeniable that this area is got something to it, and what it is, I don't know. I'm not going to get anywhere near those ammo plants or Eastman because the things that haunt that will probably shoot you. So
Certainly, certainly. Now, when you're out on your investigations, is there ever certain cryptids that you're looking for, or are you just kind of going out waiting to see whatever may be out there?
normally I have a particular hunt in mind. Like there was a Bigfoot sighting not too far from here, and we went camping and we were doing the calls and hitting the sticks. We were looking for Bigfoot. Of course, we didn't find nothing. He's way better at hide and seek than I am.
So I imagine this being much like a deer or an elk hunt, where you've got some sort of antler that you're rubbing together that would mimic the sounds of nature, and then doing some sort of a known type of call or sound that you've heard Bigfoot makes in the wild. Is that correct? Is that kind of how that works?
It's a big stick you hit against a tree, but yeah.
Okay, all right, all
Uh,
right.
we had a goat man sighting one time, and
Goat man.
goat man. So we went hunting the goat man. We didn't get nothing but a good time. Uh, there's been a couple of dog man sightings, and so we hunted the dog man. I actually went to Land Between the Lakes, hunting dog men out there one time. Uh, we we found a nice little road that goes way back, called like Devil's Road or something. I don't remember right offhand, but it was quite the drive in my Jeep, off road into. It was just the most beautiful scenery that you can imagine when we got out there, but we never did find the dog man. Lots of old camps and things we found, but that trip we hunted, ghosts in Cairo, Tennessee. It's like a little ghost town there. We hunted dog men. We went to it's a place in Illinois. If you give me a minute, I'll remember the name of that place. I should have wrote it down, but Alton, Illinois. That's where we went hunting ghosts. We were there, and I found out there was a cryptid down there that I didn't find online before we went. There was a sea serpent, an Indian legend there. So we went to the caves there where the sea serpent would have been in the legends, and you can see the old paintings from the Indians and stuff. It was pretty cool.
So what was the legend of this particular serpent?
I can't remember the whole legend. This has been over a year ago now. We went there, but it was just a large serpent there in the Mississippi. the Indians, they said it was there, but I don't remember there being any attacks or anything that I learned about. That was really impromptu when I found out about it.
Sure.
But I still thought, let's go look for it.
Sure. Anytime you hear of something, if you hear of something that's you're able to go and investigate on a day off or a weekend excursion, that makes sense. Just go and take a look at it. So, from UFOs, Bigfoot, and ghostly encounters, these aren't just campfire stories, folks. They're stitched into the very fabric of our cultural memory and maybe our reality. We'll continue our discussion with Ray Moseley after this break. Stay tuned. This is Wolf Radio Live. So here we are, folks. We are back. We are speaking with Ray Moseley about cryptids, about ghosts, and about the paranormal. Welcome back, Ray.
Hello. I remembered the name of that book right when we went into commercial.
and this is your very first writing, is that correct?
That's correct. The Folly of Vanguard. It was a long epic poem about a zombie apocalypse.
Excellent. The Folly of Vanguard. Was that one available on Amazon as well?
Absolutely. I'm not fearless, but I don't listen to my fear sometimes. So whether it's good, whether it's bad, I'll put it out there. I don't care.
Sure.
Worst they can do is not buy it.
Hey, that's exactly it. But one thing that's for sure is that you do the effort and go through the steps of documenting these stories. And that is much more than many, many people do with their experiences. So kudos to you for that. You've got 19 writings that are published and out there for the world to pick up and purchase. I know I personally just picked up 3 of them. And to let the audience see what they are, we picked up Bigfoot is the Lizard Man. We picked up The Field Guide to Ghosts and Cryptids. Now look, this is a thick book, folks. This isn't your tiny little bitty old paperback. This is a nice thick writing here. You can definitely get your money's worth on these. And I will also say that the price was phenomenal. You're definitely priced right for any type of entertaining book. They weren't exorbitant, which is fantastic. Many of the people that I speak with on this show just have the tiniest little thin paperback books that they want $30, $40, $50 for, because to them, they don't sell a lot of them, so they want to price them to where they feel like they're getting some value themselves out of putting it out. I really appreciated the fact that the price point was very good on all of these. I think I picked them all up for right around $10 a piece, which is a steal of a deal at any, brand new book. So, and then we picked out Granny Was Never a Ghost. Now, let's move on to this one. Can you tell us a little bit about the backstory here? I know you touched on it, this being one of your earliest paranormal experiences, but we are an hour into the show, and I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there that missed the beginning of it. And can you tell us a little bit about this story? From what I understand, this is from your own personal experiences.
Absolutely. There was a creepy, ghosty feeling going on in my daughter's bedroom, specifically around the closet. She didn't like being anywhere near the closet. I could feel it. I didn't like being anywhere near the closet. And eventually, it stopped just being a creepy feeling. It started being things moving around, and then she would be asleep and I could hear her talking to something in her sleep, and she would always call it Granny, It was this basically pretending to be a little old lady. We later found out that is certainly not the case. Where I live is really close to where the gallows used to be here in the town I'm in. So, I honestly think it was something from that. But we eventually, she said it locked her in one day, and So I replaced the doorknob with one that didn't have a lock. And so, I mean, after that, we thought things were good for a while, but, she was still having the experiences, and I didn't go near the room if I had no choice,
That's
I
so
didn't like
creepy.
going in there. And then, it started getting where, it would tug on her and things like that. And so
Oh no.
we started calling people that, preachers, everybody that we could find to try to help us with this. And we'd think it was done with, and, they'd come through and they'd bless the house, or they'd sage it, or whatever they were doing, whoever it was we had coming by to try to deal with this thing, and it never worked.
Oh man.
Then
So this is a
it
trickster
got,
spirit you've got for sure. It's moving physical objects. It's actually physically touching you guys. I mean, that is a
yes,
phenomena for sure. You guys
it,
must have been freaked out. I mean, Look, I got hair standing up on my arms right now with you telling me that it was touching you and locking the door. Okay, that's
it got
intense.
worse.
Oh goodness! And you know what? I'm sure you look. If you guys want to know how intense it got, you're definitely going to have to pick up the book. Granny was never a ghost. That way you can find out exactly what Granny was. Because we're not going to let him tell you today. Oh no, not today. This man took a lot of effort to put this story down and put these books out on Amazon for you to go pick up. Do go and do this. Author Ray Moseley, as spelled down below. You guys can see his profile. Be sure and be following Ray as well. And go check out Granny Was Never a Ghost. Oh, so tell me a little more. Tell us a little more about this, if you can,
I
without
won't.
spilling the beans.
I won't go into the ending details, but I will give one closer to the end of it that it seems unbelievable. There's a point I went in the bedroom. My daughter had a desk in there. The new she kept screwdrivers, things like that in there,
Sure.
and I needed a flathead, and I was fixing something. I don't even remember what it was I was fixing. Because I was so flabbergasted when it happened. But I go in there to get that, and the light starts flickering, right? So I start skedaddling towards the door. I'm scooting. I'm getting out of there, right?
I bet you
The
were.
her dresser on the other, not like the little plastic ones you get at the dollar store. No, a big old wooden dresser
Sure.
comes up off the ground and flies across the room and hits me and knocks me out the door.
Oh no.
Like I'm not even kidding. That was intense.
Now that is a feat
That's
on its own. I've seen photos of you. You're not a small gentleman. Oh no! From what I've seen, you were also an athlete and a power lifter, a strength trainer, and an athlete. Is that true? Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
oh, absolutely. I was a pro wrestler at one time. I kind of started there, and then after I got out of wrestling, I started getting a little bit out of shape, and I mean I was just on a forklift all the time, and I decided to get back into something more physical, get back in shape, and I was looking for anything, and I found a thing on Facebook about arm wrestling. So I just called the guy on Facebook and was like, hey, I want to get into arm wrestling. He's like, come on down, we got a tournament coming up. I had no idea at the time that was like one of the major tournaments in the area. All the big arm wrestlers were going to be there, and they were having like a who's the best of the area. It's basically a Southeast championship, but
Sure.
it was former world champions and everything all in one place, and here I am signed up. I don't know anything about arm wrestling other than I watched Over the Top.
Yeah, yeah. Sylvester
So
Stallone. Yeah, circa
yeah,
1986 or seven. Yeah, I know exactly the movie.
and then I go to my first match, right, and there's like a 16-year-old kid across from me at this table, you know, and I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm gonna smash this kid. I'm gonna feel strong. I'm gonna get into this sport. This is gonna be good, right? I had no remorse that I'm fixing to smash this kid. I am so much bigger than him, you know. And I get my arm up on the table, you know. I've turned my hat backwards, and you know, just like in the movie. And it says, "Ready, go!" And that kid flash pins me so fast I couldn't even react. Right? Just,
man!
Smoked by this kid, and I'm just like, "What the? Whoa!"
He earned his spot.
I didn't know at the time. Like, everybody in his family has been a national champion or better. And he was working on his run at it.
That's so funny.
You know,
when you see a little guy, you don't realize he worked his way to get there too, just like you did. Man. So you're a big old woolly Appalachian strong man, doing arm wrestling competitions. You know, some might call you the woodbooger. They just might do it.
I entered the woodbooger lookalike competition, but when I went to take a nap at the hotel, I overslept and missed it.
Oh, man. Now, look, this isn't a portrait of you, is it? Right here on this old shirt. It's not, is it?
It's close.
It's close. There you go. I saw the pictures in your book. You look like a big old burly fella. And to know that you were a wrestler as well. Now, you said you were a pro wrestler. Were you a name that any of us might have known?
No,
or was it in some of the smaller circuits?
Mostly just local to here.
That's still cool,
man. Professional, but I never did get anything, you know.
Sure.
Big time.
No, I know there's different tiers. No, I know there's different tiers to that. That's why I just thought maybe you were a name that we all might have known and didn't know that that's who you are. So anyhow, I love to hear that. I've got to ask you, your books touch on ufology in a way that kind of blends research with storytelling. What's your take on the current UAP hearings and disclosures? Do you think that we're getting closer to some real answers?
I don't know. You know, I'm not saying I don't trust the government completely, but I don't know that they're letting out the information we really need. And a lot of things like you remember the drone incident where we had them popping up everywhere.
Everywhere, sure.
I like most of those. They looked like something we would build. To me, like I didn't think most of them were aliens. There was one that I was pretty sure was an alien, and it was sighted over Oak Ridge. It's one I couldn't explain. It looked a lot like you seen the biblical depictions of angels, the one with like the eyeballs everywhere and
sure
rings and stuff. It kind of looked like that.
So something similar to like Ezekiel's wheel, a wheel within wheels, and I got you. All right.
That was sighted over Oak Ridge, and I mean, I was at work. I was working in the tower in the jail. I completely missed the sighting, you know. So broke my heart, but.
So, do you believe that? Yeah, you've never seen any what now?
I never seen any of the drones.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't either. Not with my own, personal experience. Only on either televised or on the internet. Do you believe that UFOs are extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or just something stranger still?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So, I don't think there's just one race of aliens out there, or they're just one type. It's got to be a whole host of them. Our universe is so large. There's no way it's just us and one other thing. I'd say there's probably a whole bunch. I did have a book that I wrote, and it's more of an origin story of the everything, you know.
Okay.
It's called I Remained.
I saw that. I saw
It's
that listed. I almost picked that one up.
yeah. It's an origin story, and it goes over a lot of how things might have been created. You know, uh, it follows Irathun, which is a name given to the thing I've been writing about at the beginning of everything, before there was an earth, before there was heavens. And he is the first thing to create anything. He creates, of course, reptilians who turn against him, and he's got to actually learn about what evil and stuff is. Of course, he gets enslaved by them and goes on the run, But he goes
Sure.
on creating life as he goes, and eventually it gets to Earth. But there's a lot of different alien races that I don't know if you've read about, but I've read about that I kind of describe in the book. Like I use their likeness as what he's putting out there. Kind of like he's the seed. You know what I mean?
I see. Certainly. Okay.
Because there's just so much out there, and we have no way of really looking at it. Like our visual telescopes really can't see much at all. We're basically, any of our good astronomy is done with radio telescopes. And that's just us looking at radio waves and kind of making a picture out of it.
Sure. Bouncing waves out there and seeing what, how it returns. And if there's a light that reflects from behind it or not. Certainly. Now, your titles.
Most of the time we don't send the wave out there. We just listen for the most part.
I see.
If we were to send the waves out there, it would take too long to get there and come back.
So we're really just observing what's there already.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's pretty much how that works.
So your titles have a nice mix of humor and eeriness. How do you balance the storytelling side of your work with the investigative and the research kind of heavier side? How do you balance that in your writings?
I'll go with if you're watching any of the investigations that I have on film. I'll start by explaining it there. On film, we'll use these really cheap EMF detectors that have the little blinky lights on them and stuff.
Sure, we've seen those.
Because they're easy for everybody to see and understand. You go from green light to red light, something happened. There's no numbers. If I'm telling you in the video, background radiation is at 15 microteslas, and we just had a 4.5 point microtesla spike, something had to happen. You're not going to really know what's going on. I'm not saying everybody is, dumb, but not everybody's a scientist.
Right.
That's where science loses their audience most of the time. They get too caught up in those numbers, and like I have them. I use scientific equipment a lot of times. You don't ever see it on camera because it's looking at charts or looking at microteslas. It's boring.
Sure.
So thinking about the way I do it on film, when I started writing books, I tried to do the same thing. I didn't want to be boring, but I still want to get the information out.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Your average viewer wants to see a red light or a green light. All of the numbers and the dials and the meters may not mean anything to them. So you've published 19 books already. And what's your writing process like? Are these stories chasing you, or are you chasing them?
I mean, it's all over the place. Just kind of what I take a notion to write, and then I'll sit down and start writing it. Which, of course, I do all my writing on my phone because I could be anywhere when I decide I want to write something. and I've always got my phone in my hand. Everybody has Google Documents.
Yep.
You just open it, and it's basically like text messaging yourself. And then you get everything you want out, go back and clean it up.
Now, do you do voice to text, or do you sit there and actually type it all out?
A little bit of both.
Right. So you utilize the tools for sure.
Yeah, mostly typing it all out. But there's been times when I've had the itch, and I was driving, so you just got to do voiceover like that and let it do its thing and go back and fix where it has no idea what you said.
Sure. Yeah. Telling it where the periods are and the end of the sentence and start a new one. Yeah, I've had my my times with those as well. But they are useful tools to just get the words on the screen.
I worked as a graphic designer and worked in a print shop and things like that. So editing, printed materials, I kind of have an understanding of. So I got a little bit of a leg up on going back and fixing everything and making it formatted correctly to turn it into a book. That's more difficult than the writing, to be honest with you.
Oh, sure, the formatting. Yeah, I know my last book, I probably rewrote it, 3 or 4 times, just fixing all of the formatting issues. I'd go to submit it and go to do it, and then I'd realize, oh, wait, I need to work on this. I'll go preview it, look back again. Oh, no, this needs to be changed. Sometimes it's the sizing. Sometimes it's a margin. Sometimes it's, there's all sorts of things that it could be. Sometimes you just need that extra blank page here or there to make it, offset and read correctly. All those little things the things that people don't realize needs to be in a book until you go to publish one. So do you see yourself more as a chronicler of the strange or as someone trying to solve these mysteries?
Neither. What I am is just a country boy who's been into a little bit of everything, who's out enjoying himself, and like I said, I got some injuries where I can't express my emotions physically into sport anymore, and I needed another medium, and I wanted something healthier, and I decided writing was my thing, and I put that same passion I put into being a professional athlete, which, if you do bodybuilding and whatnot, you understand that takes some dedication.
Certainly.
And I just put that towards my writing. You get it in your mind, you think about it all day, you do, whenever you have a chance to do it, you talk about it, that's all you talk about, that's all you're doing, you're obsessed. And
yes, sir.
I put that same energy into doing the writing, and some of my earlier works and stuff, you'll notice practice makes perfect, because I'm
getting better.
I was stumbling on my pages quite a few times.
Sure. No, that makes sense. As you go along, you get better. Practice does make perfect. And with 19 publications in, you probably have a system now as to how you do that. You probably have things templatized now so that you can pull out your template and get it going instead of having to start fresh every single time. Certainly, that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you.
Google document and write it down, and because everything's formatted just a little different depending on what you're writing about. So
that's true. So if disclosure happened tomorrow, if the government said we are definitely not alone, what do you think that would mean for humanity?
With the state of apathy most of humanity's at right now, I think most of them would go, okay, and just go about their day. Just to be honest with you, a few people like me, I'd get all excited, and I'd be looking at the sky all night, But most folks just go about their day, because they're like, okay, whatever. We already knew something like this was going on anyway. Let's move on to the next crisis. What you got?
Certainly.
Let's see. Of course, there'd be the crazies would come out. There's a few, of course.
Definitely so. Definitely so. Well, finally, Ray, what's next for you? Can you give us a little preview of the books that you're working on, the upcoming works?
The next biggest one is, I'm currently still doing a lot of the work on getting my illustrations ready. It's going to be the book on Sensabaugh Tunnel, which is the very first actual ghost hunt that I went on. And like I really touch on the lore behind the tunnel, because there's a lot of stories, in the area that are floating around. Most of them easily debunked, but they're still good creepy stories. And then there's the story that we discovered from the ghosts that were communicating with us on the spot. We were actually there. There's a murder that took place nearby quite recently, and the accused are housed in the jail I work at. So
I see.
I'm not talking to them about it. That would kind of be against what we do.
Right.
But maybe we know somebody got stabbed there. They didn't make it. Let's see if we can go find that ghost. I mean, we just ignored the lore altogether, and we're going to go hunt that ghost. Fresh, maybe he's there, right? We never made contact with that ghost. We actually made contact with something far older, probably predated the tunnel itself, and the story that we got linked more to Rotherwood Manor, which is a nearby plantation house, than anything to do with the tunnel. So I mean, it was. I don't want to give too much away there, but
Right.
we were given directions by the ghost. We had downloaded an app, that would, supposedly allow the ghost to talk, and it uses like a word bank and stuff. I mean, it
Very
was
cool.
free app, and we had little faith in it, but then we started getting kind of intelligent responses, and so we wrote down what responses we got, which was usually things like baby or master, things like that, and
Sure.
they were connecting to some of the questions we were asking, and we researched based off our questions and the answers that we got, and we found a whole other story that we had no idea about, and nobody was actually talking about in the lore of the tunnels in the area. We were guided by a ghost to a whole other story, and I mean it was fantastic. I loved it. We didn't know whether to be scared. We didn't know whether to be excited. We were fumbling around. We're asking just the dumbest questions. We didn't know what we were doing. We're just like I'm out there in my Crocs. My buddy, he's got a pair of boots on. We're trudging through the water. Thankfully, Crocs were actually the right choice that day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My feet were cold. My feet were cold.
Well, I'm sure that's going to be a fantastic work, and I look forward to catching that as soon as it's released. Now, thank you for sharing your experiences with us, and to everyone else out there, hey, you are tuned in to Wolf Radio Live, TikTok's home for the unexplained. We've been speaking with our guest author, Ray Moseley, about his work with UFOs, cryptids, and the paranormal. But now, it's your turn. That's right, folks. We are opening up the lines, and we want to hear from you. Have you ever seen something in the skies that you couldn't explain? Have you had an encounter with a creature that shouldn't exist? Or maybe a brush with the supernatural that still lingers in your mind? Tonight is your chance to share it. Request to speak. We'll bring you up and tell your story. If you don't want to be on camera or you don't want to be raised up with the microphone, then put your question down in the comments. We will answer that right after this groovy beat. Wowza, wowza, wowza. Well, welcome back to Wolf Radio Live. I'm your host, Mr. Wolf, and tonight's journey takes us deep into the wilderness of the unexplained. Ray Moseley is here, and we are talking about cryptids, the paranormal, and the high strangeness that surround us all. As we get ready to close out the evening, Ray, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience? Any tidbits of information that you just can't depart without letting them all know?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody that's watching and listening, you need to support Mr. Wolf. He's given me a platform to speak on, and I mean that's more than I could have ever asked for. He bought copies of the books. You know, I mean, I'm not charging an arm and a leg for him, but that still ain't cheap. And he told me he's got a book of himself. Definitely get a copy of that. Just support this man, because what he's doing, it's actually very entertaining, and I'm absolutely excited I could have been here tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Ray. You know, the idea behind this show, and it's still a new show. We've only been on, I think this is episode 4. So, when I came to TikTok here a few months ago, I've always been a fan of old late night AM radio and have been since I was a teenager. I'm in my 40s now, and it's something that has been an avid part of my life, my entire life. When I came to TikTok, I realized that the majority of what was being shown here was more of the panel discussion type show, and which is great. It's great to be able to have that communication and have the, that time where you have multiple people chiming in about different things, sharing their experiences. However, I felt like it lacked a certain structure, and the structure that I was looking to bring to TikTok was that late night feel, that video, well, with a video podcast twist. It's kind of like bringing that old retro 90s, AM radio show to the modern era of TikTok and live video. No longer do we have to listen to a recording from days gone by. We can actually be there live, interacting with the audience. The audience can ask questions. They can chime in. They can be brought up on stage and turn the camera on and have their little 5 minutes of fun here on the, on the discussion, and get to personally ask you those questions. So I would like to ask, before we do anything else, if anyone out there happens to have a question or would like to share an experience, go ahead and either request to speak or drop it down in the comments. Other than that, that's pretty much what I had for you, Ray. Let's see. We're still sitting at the same amount of people. I don't think there's been new ones dropped in. So, without further ado, let me get this going. Let me see. As the night winds down and the shadows stretch a little longer, we've traveled through the tales of monsters, ghosts, and the mysterious lights above with our guest, Ray Moseley. His work reminds us that the unknown is never far away, that in the dark forests, abandoned houses, and lonely highways, mystery still lingers. Ray has written 19 books with more to come, and each one is a window into the bizarre and the extraordinary. I'd like to thank him for sharing his time, his knowledge, and his stories with us tonight. And to you, the listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into high strangeness. Until we meet again, keep watching the skies, keep listening to the silence, and remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than we can ever imagine. I'm Mr. Wolf, and this has been Wolf Radio Live, TikTok's home for the unexplained. We will return every Wednesday and Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Good night and stay curious. Thank you for being here, Ray. You guys have a good night.
Have a good night, sir.